The issue I'd brought up with him was that I'd received intelligence from one of the IEBC officials who complained that some Form 34A were being brought down and they were being replaced by other Form 34A. He was not able to know exactly the location from which this was happening, but he brought it to me once, first time, and I reported this to the DCI, who dispatched officers to have an interview with this person. This gentleman was so terrified, and he actually mentioned the case that he had been threatened by Mr. Majan when he brought it up with him, that he should not play with him, he'll know who Mr. Majan is. Coming from the memory of Musandu, I've never seen a more scared young man. He did take it up with one of his seniors, and the seniors, to corroborate the story, also told me, yes, he had received, the senior had received the report, and there was absolutely nothing they could do unless I talk with the chairman himself. I tried several times to access the chairman, and actually a day passed, and the following morning when I came and I insisted I was going to see him, he had issued instructions to a senior police officer by the name Samuel Arap Kimeu, who actually physically blocked me from trying to get into IEBC proceedings at Bomas of Kenya that day. I happened to have known the back door, and I used a little bit of my public relations with the officers at the back, and I managed to get in. Then, again, the officers of Mr. Chebukati refused to see me, saying that he was very busy. He was receiving reports from returning officers, and therefore I could not go in. I was further concerned by the fact that by that time Chebukati had made a ruling that all the returning officers from the counties must report to him first before the verification, the papers are verified on the floor of the hall. I had concerns about that because he was himself closed in that room with Mr. Molu and Mr. Marjan, and therefore it was obvious to me that something opaque was taking place. Finally, I did insist that nobody was going to stop me from getting into that office. I'm a Kenyan citizen, and I'm not trying to do anything wrong. So I told his own security people that I also have security, and you'll have to shoot me to stop me from getting in. And I went in. And I found him with Molu, Marjan, and himself. And I brought these matters with him, and he told me he's busy now, he's got too many returning officers waiting for him, so he will not be able to attend to me. So he told me to come later. I was polite, I left, I came back later at 8 o'clock. Then he told me, come back probably about midnight. I came back at midnight, he told me, come back at 2. I came back at 2, and he was sleeping. So I agreed with the people who were there that let's let him have some sleep. He had not slept for many days. So I waited until 4 a.m. And that's the time when I drew the attention of somebody like Amos Wako, who is a personal friend, and a few others, that we should go and confront him. I like to be able to state at this stage that Mr. Chebukati is not a stranger to me. Mr. Guliye is not a stranger to me. And Mr. Molu are not strangers to me. He has made claims of what I said when 10 of us were in that room. All the commissioners were in that room, and Mr. Amos Wako was in that room, and another lawyer, I don't know his name, Bonduo, whoever he is. So there are 10 of us in that room. For him to claim that I made some offers to him in front of those 10 is a tara diddle. Is a tara diddle. Petty lie. But I want to go back to the fact that these people are not strangers to me. I want Mr. Chebukati to explain to me and to explain to Kenyans when he came to a secret location to meet with me, and what was that discussion about? At least he's talked about where 10 were. What was the discussion when he came to a secret location to see me in Karen? Number 2, I want Mr. Guliye, or Professor Guliye, and Mr. Molu to explain what they came to do in my house. What was that discussion about? And the drift of that discussion was more of auctioneers rather than commissioners. I want them to say they never came to my house. I will make the CCTV cameras available at my house so that those can be investigated by the DCI, whether I'm saying the truth or not. Because to my house, they came.